water polo captures their second win against Villanova this season ahead of more conference games. Hello, I'm Anna Gomez.
And I'm Jake Smolinski. Atlantic 10 tournaments are quickly approaching. How will our athletes fare? We've got predictions. You're watching LaSalle TV's home for Explore Athletics, SportsLine.
Welcome to SportsLine. We've got a saucy show for you Explorer fans. Men's soccer pulled off their first A10 win on the road against Rhode Island, and volleyball almost pulls it together against Duquesne in a nail-biting 5 sets.
And later, we have an interview with Kristen Hogstad, junior forward for the women's soccer team. We get to hear from the Norwegian phenom herself about the state of the team as they continue to plug their way through the A10.
But first, let's take a look at what went down this past week for our athletes. LaSalle suffered a tough loss to St. Joe's in their recent match. However, even though St. Joe's is an A10 team, the game was non-conference, so it does not affect their standing. But it was a devastating loss nonetheless. Almost immediately, St. Joe's jumped out to an early lead, scoring 2 back-to-back goals in just the first 7 minutes of play. LaSalle junior Kendall Creeder would respond quickly with her 5th goal of the season, but that would be answered by another St. Joe's goal just 10 minutes after making the score 3-1. Going into the second half, senior Devin Morocco would score off a pass from Kendall Creeder in the second half, but that would be the rest of the Explorers scoring. St. Joe's doubled their goals in the second half to make the final score 6-2 St. Joe's.
And the men's water polo team participated in a charity tournament hosted by Villanova on Saturday, October 8th, and all proceeds from the tournament were donated to local orphanages. And the Explorers played Army first on Saturday, losing in overtime before defeating the host team 22-11. In the first half of the game, Villanova dominated the pool. LaSalle was down 10-7 by halftime, but in the second half, the Explorers made an incredible comeback, scoring 12 unanswered goals against the Wildcats. Freshman goalie Johan Orozco only gave up 1 goal, and the blue and gold outscored Villanova 13-1 in the second half, earning the Explorers another victory.
And the young water polo team built off that win to take on nationally ranked George Washington. While the decision was largely already decided in GW's favor before Sunday, the Explorers still came out to play, and they definitely did. LaSalle made 8 points on the day to a team that only had previously given up 8 goals in a game, against much more experienced squads. Alex Pitcher and Joel Gibson each popped 3 goals into the net each, but George Washington's Andrew Mavis tallied 3 and had a squad of 9 other teammates double LaSalle's 8 points, ending the weekend 16-8 George Washington.
And the LaSalle men's golf team hosted the Explorers Match Play Championship on Monday, October 10th and Tuesday, October 11th at North Hills Country Club. The Explorers finished second in stroke play on Monday to advance onto the match play rounds. However, the Explorers fell 3-2 to the Drexel Dragons in a semifinal match, and Drexel was the eventual champion of the tournament. And individually, the Explorers sophomore Nick Gaiman paced for the team by shooting a 74 in both rounds of the championship to finish 6 over par and tied for 6th place. Another LaSalle standout was freshman Evan Gaser, and Gaser finished in 9th place with a 2-round 7 over par. The Explorers will be back in action on October 23rd through October 25th at the ODU/OBX Invitational in Powell's Point, North Carolina. Didn't know that was a DMX title.
Thanks, Jake. The women's volleyball team welcomed the Duquesne Dukes to Tom Goal Arena on Friday for October 7th for a volleyball matchup that was destined to be difficult for the Explorers. Duquesne entered the match 7 games over 500, while LaSalle was struggling at 3 games below. Surprisingly, it was the blue and gold that actually came out rolling, taking the first set 25-22. The Dukes found their stride after the opener, however, winning sets 2 and 3 by a combined 11 points. Unwilling to fall so easily, LaSalle fought valiantly in the 4th set behind 13 combined kills behind Devin Cora and Brianna Davis to tie the game up at 2 sets apiece in the decisive 5th set. Both teams traded points, point for point, until Duquesne managed to pull away to secure the victory 15-9. Devin Cora notched a career-high 25 kills, and the Explorers' eighth consecutive loss.
Yikes. Heartbreaker.
Yeah.
Because, first of all,
I was struggling to get through it because of it.
I know. We just get so emotional on here on SportsLine. But the thing is that makes it so tough is that this looked like it was going to be that game that we are finally waiting for. It's almost like this looked like they were going to be able to complete their sentence, put that, I don't know, exclamation point down on paper, and finally get that A10 win that we've been kind of waiting for. So
Against Duquesne?
Against Duquesne.
Did you predict that?
I was hoping that they were going to be able to do it, but the thing
That's
is
right,
that
you were
kind of
hopeful.
makes it a little heartbreaking is the fact I thought they were going to pull out a win. This was because Duquesne is a middle of the road team, and I thought that, this was their chance to really kind of take and turn that season around.
Okay.
So,
Well, we do have more A10 games coming up. It is we're coming towards the end of it, but we do still have some time to see what women's volleyball is capable of.
see if they turn it around.
We'll find out.
All right. And so women's soccer looked to continue their undefeated streak with consecutive games at the McCarthy. And the Explorers took on George Washington Colonials on Thursday the 22nd. And the two teams remained at a deadlock for nearly 70 minutes before Danielle Marks scored after intercepting a George Washington clear. And the Colonials answered back in the 83rd with George Washington forward Mackenzie Cowley chipping the ball over Larissa Zambelli. Oof. And the game remained tied and went into overtime. And in overtime, neither team was able to come up with a goal, and the game ended in a 1-1 draw.
And the Explorers returned to McCarthy on Sunday to take on Big Five rival St. Joe's. After a scoreless first half, Paige McDowell scored on a corner to put LaSalle ahead in the 55th minute. Unfortunately, that lead would not last long as St. Joe's came storming back in goals in the 77th and 78th minute. The Hawks would maintain the lead to defeat the Explorers and bring in their conference record 1-1 and 2.
And men's soccer grabbed their first win in the A10 conference against Rhode Island on the road on Saturday, October 8th. And coming off just a heartbreaking beginning to conference play with seamlessly endless one-goal games heading into overtime, it was great to see everything finally click for the team. And all it took was 6 minutes for Johnny Ciarlanti to break through on a combo throw-in / tip from Zach Rutherford and Greg Henry for Ciarlanti to snag his third goal of the season. And with a 1-up lead, the Explorers played their usual scrappy game, highlighted with a huge boot from Tony Danielle on a free kick that cut through traffic for another goal at the 58th minute. And now, despite 16 shots on goal from Rhode Island's offense, Mike Kirk and the defense held on until the 75th minute, until there was a header off a corner kick that brought URI within one. However, the Explorers held out and secured the win. Huge. And then actually heading into their matchup against sleeper team VCU, it looked like LaSalle was in a good position to start their A10 run. However, after a landlocked first half, the tipping point came in the second with 2 goals. The 75th minute goal securing the win. VCU's defense completely shut down LaSalle's attack with only 1 shot on net from Coleman Kennedy. And this brings LaSalle's record to 6-6 with 5 difficult games in the conference to go. And I have one word for that, and that is oof.
Oof is right.
Yeah. Like, just to know that VCU is really not that, like, they're a good team, but not as serious. But to hold all of LaSalle's offense to only 1 shot on net, like, God.
That's not what we need.
No.
We've been saying for weeks now that men's soccer needs to step up just taking shots on goal. That's all they need to do. Just take those opportunities, and they have yet to be, we're seeing they're not making those opportunities. But we might talk about that later when we talk A10 tournaments. Actually, we're going to talk about that right now. So it brings us to this week's headlines. And our big headlines this week, we're not going to talk about men's basketball. Gosh darn it, the media is already doing hardcore prep for men's basketball. We already knew it was inevitable. But where is the coverage on what are soon to be what are the athletes?
What are these teams going to be doing that are going to be battling for their lives in the A10 tournaments? And so, in an effort to estrange ourselves from the bums simply waiting all year to focus on men's basketball and men's basketball alone, we have women's and men's soccer both still in the running to make a statement as they finish out their regular season. So Gomez, hit me with the women's soccer.
Let's talk about women's soccer. Let's get to that page. Right now, we're 1-1 and 2 in the conference. So those 2 ties have come in the last 2 weeks, which is, it's not what we want to see with this mid-season. We're trying to build up some momentum going into the final stretch of the A10 conference games before we get into the tournament. Yep. Last year, we made the tournament. We made it into 2 games into the tournament. That was huge. We were not expecting that. Macy Bauer was just killer there. She's going to be a really big player.
Force, yeah.
She's going to be a force coming into this conference. again, Bauer and Marks are the only really repeat scorers here. Mary Kate Bateman, who has been a solid scorer for us, has yet to make a goal in the conference. She's taken 8 shots, none of them have made it. Davis also, Deja Davis, 15 shots on goal, has yet to really be able to capitalize on any of those opportunities. We're averaging 10.9 shots on goal per game. St. Louis, who's #1 in the conference, 16 shots per goal. So we can, those are sort of the opportunities we need to make happen. We also have Kristen Hogstad, who is #6 in the A10 for assists.
Exactly. And so she's been proving herself out there, and kind of just to bring it back, like these next couple games are going to be key to see if we can still make that bid for the tournament. Dayton is a team that we despise, and we will probably be seeing this at the end of the tournament. So I'm excited to see, as we kind of previewed in the Kristen Hogstad interview, she's getting hyped just to take on David, which is actually happening on Thursday, October 13th. So I am excited to see what they end up pulling out with that.
Yes.
So, yeah.
And again, Hogstad and some of the other defensive players, they're scrappy. We say this again and again with our soccer squads, but they're just scrappy, and they need, our forwards, our really big offense needs to step it up with that scrappiness.
Yep. And so I guess then moving on to men's soccer, this is where it gets a bit tougher. So the tournament actually starts on November 10th, and right now we are tied second to last in the conference with Davidson. We are 1-2, 6-6 in the season. We started off so strong, so confident, but the thing is, stakes are high in the A10, and basically what we're going to need to do is these next 5 games, which are all going to be extremely difficult games, we are going to really need to we cannot have any more games where we're having our offense only managing 1 shot on net. That is basically the key. We saw that we can do things with the game right before against George Washington, but come on.
Yeah, we have Coleman Kennedy and Matt Robinson, who are our top 2 scorers in the conference. Kennedy's .75 points per game, Robinson's .82 points per game. They're not even in the top 10 taking shots on goal.
Exactly.
That needs to be, if we really want to see, and this is men's soccer's goal, this is what they set out to do when they started the season, is make the tournament, and we haven't seen that yet. But I think we're going to move on, even though we do have some big things about St. Joe's. Definitely watch out for St. Joe's men's soccer. That's going to be...
I'm scared.
I'm scared. But another team we're going to be keeping our eye on is golf, with the City 6 Championship coming up this year. Last year, PJ Asierno won the Lafayette Invitational and placed meh in the A10s, but this summer he advanced the sectional qualifier for the U.S. Open. This kid really has a lot of promise, especially with this being his last season. Along with a stellar group of younger golfers, he's in a position to be challenged and make a statement in the City 6 tournament. Golf is an incredibly tough sport in college, and competing in groups of almost 100 other golfers, it looks like it's going to be an environment that might just be right for Asierno.
Exactly, and you know what? It's City 6, and so that means these are golfers that he's been playing against. We know what's going to be. He knows what to expect. And the thing is, he's been a bit quiet this semester, coming off the summer, and that his big statement at the sectionals. He did, he's capable of doing it. A little bit quiet now. However, though, we know that he is capable of getting below that 74, which is the 74 is basically that's a huge divide between the best golfers in the game. And that's the thing. Looking at other teams in the City 6, there's really only Brandon Matthews of Temple, Joseph Dance and Aaron Frick of Drexel, and 3 players from St. Joe's that are all within 1 stroke or less. So that's by decimals that are their season averages. And so that basically, if you get Asierno in that same competing space with those guys, you never know how this is actually going to work itself out. So I'm excited to see how Asierno prepares for it and see if is he going to get senioritis? I don't know, but we'll find out.
We will find out.
Yeah. And so field hockey also has a chance for the A10s, and with 3 conference games to go with a record of 3-2, it has potential. Granted, they're going to be facing off against the dreaded UMass squad, the dastardly St. Francis, and the evil St. Louis, but their improvements since the beginning of the season cannot be denied. And you know what? We're still fronted by one of the best goalkeepers in the game, Rachel Hartman. On top of that, Abby Lawrence is a senior, and if she really starts feeling the heat, I think that she could be an extreme deciding factor in our offense.
I completely agree. We have, I mean, let's start with Rachel Hartman. She has an 82% save average. That's massive. She's earned all the honors already, and we're only mid-season. But we're in a really good spot right now for field hockey. We beat Lock Haven, and Lock Haven is ahead of us in the standings for A10. So we have a lot of potential to really make a lot of big plays coming up. A10 conference games tournament starts November 4th. And St. Joe's is, again, the team to watch with that.
Yeah.
Anna Willix, she has a 1.25 goal per game average, which is in contrast to Devin Morocco, who is our top goal per game average scorer with 0.4 points per game.
Yeah.
But we do have Creeder and Lawrence, Kendall Creeder and Abby Lawrence, who are the top scorers for LaSalle in general overall, with a combined 21 points. And they have a lot of experience. These girls have been, or these athletes have been through the tournament before. They know how this works. They have that experience that a lot of the young blood might not be able to have experience with yet.
And the thing is, like, especially when you have a senior like Rachel Hartman, you have a senior like Abby Lawrence, the thing is, they have been through all of this before. They should know what's happening. Rachel Hartman playing her heart out, despite like the defense really not doing much for her. She's out there like throwing herself around like a rag doll, just like I don't know, like I guess that was a terrible. I don't know why I just did that, but anyway.
Well, no, it's true. We have athletes that are really capitalizing things. We also have someone like April Stein, who is just a solid performer. She has 5 assists per game. She's top 5 in that, so that's huge. Basically, this concludes our headlines for this week. And so because of this, we are not stooping to BuzzFeed levels of hype for basketball, at least not yet. But these LaSalle teams all have promised to power their way through the tournaments, and that's the important part. We will obviously be keeping you updated with the developments from all of these teams, but this takes us to our first commercial break, and when we come back, we have an interview with Norwegian stud Kristen Hogstad. Get ready.
Love LaSalle TV.
I love that new show, Flip.
I gotta keep up, so news you can use has to be my favorite.
I love LaSalle sports, so SportsLine is my favorite TV show.
We love LaSalle TV.
I love that new show with the psychology department, Relationships 101.
I love Backstage Pass. It's my favorite show.
We love LaSalle TV.
Sports Talk Philadelphia.
Q&A, I love that show.
It's gotta be LaSalle TV News.
I love LaSalle TV.
A prayer to St. Clair, the patron saint of television.
Oh, wondrous St. Clair, I ask that you bless my television with good reception and good color balance.
I also ask for your assistance in choosing quality programs that provide me with endless hours of enlightening entertainment.
Amen.
Your prayers have been answered. You're watching LaSalle TV.
You know you watch.
Welcome back, and you know what? I got the chance to talk to one of LaSalle's most constant forces on the field, Kristen Hogstad, and it was awesome to hear from a player's perspective about the challenges that they've been facing, especially just with how strong the team has potential to be. And so anyway, without further ado, here's a nice little interview with forward Kristen Hogstad.
Kristen Hogstad, junior on the LaSalle women's soccer team. My role is mainly getting assists, like getting the crosses in, and also score, even though that I haven't scored yet, and just be like kind of the creative player out there. I think we've been really happy with our performance, especially defensively. Yeah, it's kind of like frustrating when we've been playing so well and like been dominating, but I think we're just like want to build up what we're doing, like keep growing and keep believing and kind of like create our own luck. I think the results will come really soon because we really deserve that, and yeah, just gotta work harder together. Mary Kate, Deja, Larissa, and Paige, I think they're been really important for us. They always step up. They're always dialed in to just give everything they have, every practice and every game, and just being like role models for the other young players. Freshmen are really talented. I think they're the best freshmen we ever had, as like what I heard. Yeah, they're so talented and willing to learn, and they just have a lot of potential. And also, like Jess Shanahan, she's getting a lot of playing time, and she shows that she's just very skillful, and she can be a very important player in the future, and she already is. So that's great, I think. So we're playing Dayton this Thursday. That will be very exciting because we don't like Dayton. It's like our important game, and like every game is very important. We keep telling ourselves that we have to play game by game and take it from there and not think about the past, don't think about the A10 tournament, really just focus on each single game. I think like every practice we talk about like the desire that we need to like be more on our toes, like making better runs, just really, it's all about like passion and desire really, because we have the talent, everyone have skills, and everyone is really doing well, but it's just like the final little touch in the box. At the end of the season, definitely making it to the second round of NCAA. But regular A10 season is a goal, and also winning the A10 tournament, definitely. It's pretty clear every year we want to win everything. Oh, man.
You are now watching Salle TV.
Welcome back. There is plenty of LaSalle sports action this upcoming week, so let us highlight the games ahead. Men's swimming and diving will kick off their 2016 against some of the local competition, Drexel, Villanova, and Penn. LaSalle will host the inaugural Philly Relays on Friday, October 21st at Kirk Pool before a series of weekend races against Nova and Drexel on the 22nd.
And then cross country sets their sights on the Princeton Invitational on Saturday, October 15th. The men will race an 8K and the women will follow with a 6K.
Men's soccer continues A10 play with an October 19th match against 4th place Dayton. LaSalle is currently in 5th behind Dayton and St. Bonaventure.
And women's soccer continues their own A10 play with a series of games against a few of the mid-tiering Atlantic 10 teams, VCU, Richmond, and St. Louis, who's tied for second.
And on Saturday 16th, October, it was the weekend. 16 young women from an organization called Tech Girls stopped by the studio and learned a little bit about television studio production. All from the Philadelphia area, the Tech Girls worked with the cameras, learned how to use the switchboard, and all of the behind-the-scenes positions. One young woman also learned what it was like to record a segment for our show, SportsLine. Game Friday, October 14th is Tech Girls reporter Maeve.
Hi, I'm Maeve with Tech Girls, bringing you this week's edition of Marquee Matchup. The game to watch this week is tomorrow's volleyball match against the A10 rival Rhode Island at the Tom Gola Arena. The volleyball team is 8-11 on the season so far. After starting their season by winning 7 out of the first 8 games, the blue and gold lost their momentum and have lost the 10 out of their last 11 games. LaSalle is 0-4 against conference teams. They are currently on a 7-game losing streak. Their opponent, Rhode Island, is one of the toughest teams they will face this season. Rhode Island has a 9-7 record. They are undefeated against conference teams and are in the midst of a 5-game winning streak. LaSalle played Rhode Island just a few short weeks ago on September 24th. The blue and gold lost 3-0 in LaSalle's second game of conference play. The key player that will need to step up for the Explorers on Friday is freshman DEVIN. Cora leads LaSalle in kills with 202 so far this season. She recorded 8 kills against VCU and 15 against Davidson last week. The Calgary, Canada native, also leads the team in points with 245, averaging 3.71 points per set. A key player for LaSalle is also another freshman, Jennifer Edwards. The rookie is second to Cora in points with 145.5 and in kills with 128. There are 2 major keys to this game that will help the Explorers break their losing streak. The first key to the game is that LaSalle needs to take control of the match early on. They need to score points early and win sets so they are not trying to catch up later. The blue and gold cannot give Rhode Island an easy advantage. The second key to the game is that the Explorers need to be confident. Though Rhode Island is a very tough team, the Explorers should not doubt themselves. They need to believe that they can turn their season around and redeem themselves in their second match against Rhode Island this year. It looks like it's going to be an exciting 8-team matchup tomorrow night. So be sure to head to the Tom Gola Arena to cheer for the volleyball team as they take on Rhode Island at 7 p.m. For SportsLine, I'm Maeve.
You know what? She actually did a great job, though. But more importantly, this brings to me to POTW Picks of the Week. Take it. Okay.
Oh,
well,
we're not going.
There it is. Pick number 1, men's water polo. I'm calling a win versus Gannon. You know what? Gannon might be possibly the best team in the Mapipsy. But the thing is, you know what? We're going to be just facing off against the Sadakoviches. And you know what the Sadakoviches are? Zarko and Marco. That's their actual names. I swear to God. Gilbert Milan, 25 goals. You know what? I'm going to call Jeff Brady is going to just squash him. You know what? This brings me to pick number 2, women's volleyball, loss versus Rhode Island. Rhode Island's 5-1 team. They're intense. We're not so intense. We're going to try our best to see what we can do. However, I believe in us. Maybe we could win a couple sets. We did some Duquesne stuff. This brings me to pick number 3, women's rowing at Navy Day Regatta. I'm calling a top 5 finish because you know what? We can. And the thing is, we won our first row of the season. Had the first couple races. This is the second one. We're going to do something good. All
right.
Yeah, that just about wraps it up for us this week. If you can't make it out to the marquee matchup, be sure to tune in next week for our coverage. Keep up with this weekend's sporting events by visiting GoExplorers.com or check us out this week's edition of the Collegian.
Also check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/LaSalleTV. We welcome you to what your suggestions are right there. For Maeve and our SportsLine team, I'm Anna Gomez.
And I'm Jake Smolinski. Thank you for joining. We'll see you at the game.